In its quest to provide an open forum for discussion of controversial issues, this station allows hosts and their guests to express themselves without any significant censorship. You are advised that any view expressed by the host or their guest are not necessarily the views of the owners or management of TogiNet Radio, Togi Entertainment, or the Owners Group, Inc.
It's time for Motherhood Talk Radio, the most powerful voice in women's issues today, with Sandra Beck and Christy Holly. Ladies, Motherhood Talk Radio is here to give you a powerful platform by giving you interesting, inspiring, and influential information as you navigate everything from childcare to corporate formation. Motherhood Talk Radio has interviews with best-selling authors, gurus of happiness, and women of interest who every single day make our world a better place for our families. Motherhood Talk Radio, powered by Motherhood Incorporated, is on the air now. Moms, this really is your show. Motherhood Talk Radio. And now, here are your hosts, Sandra Beck and Christy Holly.
Hi, girls. This is Sandra Beck from Motherhood Talk Radio with Christy, who's picking on me for saying, hey, mamas.
I know. I was like, what happened to the mamas?
I wasn't. I wasn't picking on you exactly. Rick, I'm just shaking it up a little bit, keeping it real.
All right, that's all good.
Well, I don't know what else to say. Hi, this is Sandra. I'm here with Idiot and, Chum Chum. And you can take your pick.
Hey, I'll be Chum Chum.
Wait, who's the idiot?
Oh, we have a great show today. We're going to talk about, we've got an author that's coming on today. We're going to talk about bouncing, like how to bounce. And bouncing is defined as recovering after a life event or a change. It can be a good one. It could be like the birth of a baby, or it could be, the finalization of your divorce, all really good things.
Like bouncing back?
Yeah, bouncing back, or bouncing, like recovering from a loss, bringing yourself to a new level that allows you to really enjoy life.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what bouncing is.
I've heard people use it like, hey, I'm going to bounce. And
that's true, bounce out the door.
And they're leaving. But I don't speak like that, so.
You don't roll that way?
I don't know, I do not. Not usually.
Rick, how do you define bouncing?
How do I define bouncing? I don't know. I know
it's a girl term.
Yeah, I've heard people like Christy said, they use it, let's bounce, or I'm a bounce, or there's another term, I want to bone out, but that still makes me laugh.
That's not bouncing.
Yep. And boning out is probably not appropriate for Motherhood Talk Radio. We're going to hear about it from the censors.
Oh, great. Yeah, it just got deleted.
Yeah. Well, but I think, part of bouncing and what we're going to talk about today with the author of Bouncing with Style, Danee Kiernan, is we're going to talk about how we have to bounce or roll or redefine ourselves as we go through life. And everybody has changes. Everybody has things in their lives that they have to either adapt to, recover from, or just, change. If you get married, if you get divorced, if you go to school, if you go and live in another country, or even just in another city. I mean, at every point, you kind of have to redefine yourself. And Christy, what are some moments that you've had in your life that you've had to redefine yourself?
Well, I feel like there's been quite a few. First of all, when I got married, and that was a huge change, and then I got pregnant right away. So, I had to adapt to that whole new life and the way things were. And then when I had the kids, it was, like this whole new way of life that I needed to adjust to, and people had to adjust to me because I wasn't quite the same, and just going through, every day, it seems like I'm adapting some way or another.
Right, and adjusting to the experience.
Yeah.
And there's other experiences that you have. Rick, what about you? What are some times when you find, you're making adjustments as you go, and it can be geographic, it can be physical, there's all different adjustments that we have to make as we go along.
Well, I unfortunately haven't gotten to make any geographic changes. I've been stuck in freaking Acton my whole life. Yeah, so you want to know what a local yoga looks like. This is
Where the hell is Acton?
Yeehaw!
Yeah, have you seen those T-shirts? Where the hell is Acton? I mean, prior to
I want to
what?
get one.
That would make Rick the poster child.
No, but it sucks though, because people are like, "Where's Acton?" And you have to use like Los Angeles, Santa Clarita, and then Palmdale and Lancaster as a reference point, so you can get like right in the middle. Like, it's south of this or north of that. I'm like, we don't even exist.
I don't like to use the Palmdale. They're like, oh.
And they think Crimedale, like San calls it.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Yeah. But, when we can change, not just geographically, I think we can change when we're exposed to different things, like different ways of thinking, different people, that cause us to redefine ourselves. I know, like Christy, when I became friends with you, I was able to redefine myself in certain ways that were more acceptable, to being a young mom and not knowing anything. Right. Like that day you got yelled at by that teacher.
I know.
I was like, I'm not the only one who gets yelled at by the school teachers.
Crazy. That was a crazy day.
That was a crazy day.
But I had to adjust, and I had to yell back at her.
Well, but, people and situations can make us, can turn us into something that we're generally not, but both in good and bad.
Right.
And, like you inspired me to to be okay with not knowing everything about motherhood when we had our little kids.
Right.
And Rick, you came into my life and, showed me that it was okay to stand up. It was okay to have your opinion. It was okay to say, hey, I don't like that. And it was okay to say no. And those were things I really had a hard time doing. I just kind of keep under the radar, do my thing. And when you talk about readjusting, it really, both of you opened my eyes to things I needed to do, which was for Christy to cut myself some slack, that I am a new mother. I'm not supposed to know all these things.
Right.
And for Rick, you really opened my eyes that it was okay to have an opinion. It was okay to say no. And those, they changed me for the better. But then you readjust, how you see yourself, you readjust your behaviors, and we're constantly evolving in a lot of different ways. Okay, laughing at people causes me to go back into my shell.
I'm not laughing at you. I was
What, making fun of me?
No.
Oh. Rick, why don't you come in and throw something at me? We'll just finish.
Well, you guys always kick me out. I don't even know what's going on in there. Just
I know, I'm having a crazy moment.
I
need to get back on track here.
No. Now you're having a hot flash. You should see her. She's all red. She's got her hand on her head going,
nice.
I know, I feel like this is the beginning.
The beginning of the end.
Yeah.
Well, we are talking about bouncing. Let's see if you bounce back.
Wow.
Oh. Yeah, okay. Well, we can talk about, we were talking about before we got on the air today about people that have to bounce back or start over, maybe not from scratch. We've got, your husband, eventually he's not going to be a firefighter anymore.
Right.
And your kids will be grown.
Yeah, that's going to be rough for me because that's how I've always defined myself, or I wanted to define myself as a mother. That's what I wanted to grow up and do, is be a mom. So when they get older and they don't need me as much, that's going to be a hard adjustment period for me.
It is. And I think it's hard, adjustment, whether it's good or bad, I think is hard for people. It's hard for me. And I think sometimes that in our adjustment process, whether it's adjusting to good things, this month I didn't have to worry about paying all my bills. I was able to pay my bills this month, which was a big deal for me. And what was strange is I was I was so used to getting up every morning worrying about stuff, and then I got up and I'm like, I don't have to worry about this. I must find something else to worry about.
I know. I got to find something to replace that worry.
But then I didn't, and I actually thought about what I was thinking. For a moment, I'm brushing my teeth, going, okay, crazy girl. You don't have to be afraid anymore. You don't have to be. There's nothing left to be afraid of. And that was a really strange feeling for me because I didn't know what to do, and then I was like, well, I have to adjust. I have to readjust my way of thinking. I have to readjust, my schedule. And it was for something that was very good, right? But it was still a little bit stressful.
Well, we're used to always kind of waiting for the bad things to happen, and, at least I am. It's like, okay, what's going to happen?
What's going to happen?
Things are good, or, however they are. But, it's like, okay, something can't always be this good. Like, something's going to happen. So I'm always ready for something to go wrong or whatever. Since my husband is a firefighter, I am always, when he goes to work, I never know really if he's going to come home.
True.
So I am always like, that's always a constant worry for me. So, I am always uptight. Actually.
Yeah. Well, it's difficult. I mean, I look at Rick. I mean, you've made lots of adjustments, just coming to work for motherhood. And please, will you share with everybody the story about cashing the check and what that lady thought you did for a living?
Oh, I haven't shared that one?
I don't think so.
I haven't heard that.
Oh, okay. Well, when I take my checks to the bank and one of the girls at the bank looks at this check, and then she's looking at me, and they're kind of giving me that weird eyeball look. I'm like, oh, really? And she's like, have you heard of surrogates? I'm like, well, what? Of course. She's like, well, it says Motherhood Incorporated, so I just assumed. I'm like, actually, I thought some other things that were very nice. But, yeah, I was like, really? No.
Yeah, so since this kind of hot, handsome young guy comes in with a check made out to him for Motherhood Incorporated, the lady naturally
just cash the damn check, please. Okay, money is money. Relax.
Yeah, well,
she thought you were donating something.
Yeah, exactly.
I know you'd be well paid. If that was all you had to do all day was just
jobs.
Here's a cup.
Here's a video. Good to go. Or magazine. Yeah.
Wow. The things we get into on Motherhood Talk Radio. We're going to adjust. Right now, we're going to bounce back. We're going to, actually, you know what? We're going to bounce out to commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to talk to author, speaker, parent, and entrepreneur Danee Kiernan. And you guys, you have to tune in for her because not only is she the co-author of Bouncing with Style, but she has she has the experience of raising 12 children.
Wow.
I know. And I'm like, I can barely do 2. You're struggling with 3.
I know. That's crazy.
Together we don't even have that many. And if we throw Rick in,
I know.
Still, he could count at least 2.
No.
Oh, okay. I wondered if you were there listening. But she makes her home in Wisconsin, and she will be joining us after the break with her wit, insight, and wisdom.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we can't tease her too much, though, because she's really good at what she does.
Good. Looking forward to it.
Mom, here's your show, Motherhood Talk Radio, giving you interesting, inspiring, and influential information as you navigate everything from childcare to corporate formation. This is Motherhood Talk Radio, and we'll be right back after these. The Way of the Toddler, with hosts Lita and Lori Hamilton, is a show unlike any other parenting program you've ever heard. Zen Masters in Diapers? Yes. Join us Tuesday afternoons at 5, 4 Central here on TogiNet as we celebrate parenthood as a spiritual path for a journey to inner peace. With thought-provoking and spiritually compelling guests, each week Lita and Lori will explore how our children help us with the lessons we came here to learn, adding deeper meaning to our lives and relationships while giving you valuable gems to add to your unique parenting toolkit. Check out the website, thewayofthetoddler.com. With great humor and honesty, Lita and Lori will demonstrate how inner peace is possible even when surrounded by poopy diapers and piles of laundry, and what we can learn from the innate wisdom and natural spirituality of our Zen Masters in Diapers. It's The Way of the Toddler with Lita and Lori Hamilton, Tuesday afternoons at 5, 4 Central, here on TogiNet.com. It's time to capture the simple piece of the Amish in your own life. Amish Wisdom with Suzanne Woods Fisher, Thursday afternoons at 5, 4 Central. Each week, Suzanne will have conversations with guests about living a life that incorporates principles of the Amish without going Amish. She'll cover the practical, simplicity, slowing down, reducing clutter, putting the brakes on materialism. The historical, how have the Amish survived for 400 years? How can we hold on to what we hold dear? And the spiritual, treasuring important values, honoring the past, and increasing peace of mind. You don't have to become Amish to make personal peace a reality. Amish Wisdom will help all of us live a simpler life. For more information, go to SuzanneWoodsFisher.com. With Amish Wisdom, Suzanne offers us a glimpse into a world of peace, serenity, and total commitment to family and God. This show just might change the way you live your life. It's Amish Wisdom with Suzanne Woods Fisher. Thursday afternoons at 5, 4 Central on TogiNet.com. Welcome back to Motherhood Talk Radio, the most powerful voice in women's issues. For more information, check out the website, motherhoodtalkradio.com. Now, let's get back to the show with your hosts, Sandra Beck and Christy Holly.
Hey, mamas, this is Sandra Beck, and we have allowed Christy to sit in the lounge chair and take a bounce back break while we bring...
You have allowed.
Well, I am the show, whatever.
Host,
yeah.
I'm the show. What am I?
Oh, so, we were talking at the break that Christy and I completely talked over you and didn't give you the floor.
That's not what I was saying. But it's true. No.
But it's true. But you actually had some insight on bouncing and adjusting.
No, what I was sharing with Sandra and Christy is that, which is you guys, FYI.
Last I checked.
You're looking at me like, who are those people? It's like, wow. No, is that some bouncing is a result of, I guess, natural life. It just happens. You get older, you retire, or you have kids, or you get married. Those things are natural. There's some things are like self-inflicted or induced. Like, okay, I decide not to do this. I decide not to take that job, or I decide not to go to that school. Everything you do or do not do is a choice, and it has its own consequences. And you have to be able to deal with those. So there's different levels of bouncing. Some things just like you get hit in the face because somebody's just an asshole, and you got to bounce back. Some things like, oh, I did that. It may not have been a bad thing, but you chose to do that, and this is what happens. These are ramifications of that.
So where do you think blame fits in like bouncing back or adjusting to your choices?
I don't think, at least for me, you can't blame anyone but yourself. I mean, because you can keep going, well, this person did that, but ultimately you have the free will and the choice to make that decision and how you react to it. You can't control the other people, whether or not whether your neighbor is a jerk. You can't control that, but you can control how you react to it. You can either react violently or with anger or just do nothing. Christy's doing the fist thing. But each of those have their own consequences, you know. But the thing you have no control about bouncing back is whether you live next door to them, unless you move.
Right.
A death? Death, that's a hard thing to bounce back from. That's in a whole other category. That's natural. That's a part of life. It sucks and it doesn't feel natural, but that is part of life.
What's Christy saying, and I'm going to hand the phone to her because she's not on the air.
Levels of death?
Well, I was just saying or thinking, like, when you said you have to accept, responsibility for how you react to something.
Right.
I think that how do you know how to react to a death? Rick's totally holding up mean signs to me.
You doing the sush sign? How do you do?
He's just doing the sush sign. Okay, so go ahead, Rick.
How do you react to that?
Yeah, it's so your.
Well, I'm not claiming to have all the answers to that.
Your own responsibility to act like that.
Right. Well, like say for example, your kid or somebody you know is killed by a drunk driver. That's a tragedy. And it's like, yeah, you could blame that person, but that person might in turn blame the alcohol. So I mean, playing the blame game. Yes, I think you can have people or things that are at fault, but it's a dangerous path because it can keep going around in circles, and it doesn't help anybody in the end. At least for me.
Well, and it basically strips you of your power to do anything.
It does. It strips you of your free will and your independence.
Right, and your ability
to
make a choice.
Right, exactly. Like, well, because I saw you do this, I did that. And because this didn't work out for me, so then explains why I'm doing this.
Right, which makes you powerless and ineffectual to help get yourself out of whatever situation you're in, good or bad.
Right.
Okay, well,
Should I give the phone back?
You could give the phone back to Christy. Thank you, Richard D. Swanson, for being part of our show today. I'm going to introduce our guest now, who's been waiting very patiently up in the wilds of Wisconsin. We have today author, speaker, parent, and entrepreneur Danee Kiernan, and she is the co-author of a book called Bouncing with Style, and she has all these different strategies for women who have experienced hardship, and she has an executive recruiting firm, and then Table for 14, an adoption advocacy group. So she has so much, so we should really just shut up and let her talk.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
So, Danee, are you there?
Thank you so much, and please don't shut up and listen. I'm hoping you'll keep talking. I'm enjoying listening to you.
It's the Danee Kiernan Show.
Yay! Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled.
You are. Oh, Danee, you are just so amazing. I was talking about you today to Rick, and I was telling him that, in many ways, you are my hero. You are. And I want you to just give our listeners today a rundown, kind of who is Danee Kiernan and why is she here today?
Oh, my. Well, thank you so much.
Take it
Let
away.
me see now what do I say? Oh, my God, I'm so nervous. So Danee Kiernan, I guess if I had to sum up who I am, I'm a writer, a business owner, most importantly, a mom, who is excruciatingly ecstatic, truly, about being, in every moment on this journey. And I'm really fortunate to be on the journey with my favorite 13 people in the world. So that sums it up. I mean, there's more, but in a short run-on sentence, that would be it.
Well, okay. Now let's just stop a minute here. Your favorite 13 people? I have my favorite, 3 people. I have Robin and Chrissy and Rick and Lou and Beverly. So, okay, I have my favorite 5 people.
Okay.
Okay.
My favorite 13 people are
my kids. 2 more.
My 12 kids, yeah. I'm like, I sort of have a jump on you.
Mother of the year.
They're the little people in my life that depend on me.
Okay.
And once you feed them, they never leave.
Whoops.
That's okay. You can edit that, I'm sure, at some point. So my 13 people would be my husband and my 12 kids.
Okay, how do you get 12 kids? 12 kids. Wow. Seriously.
I know.
We were just talking, Sandra and I said, every day I look in the mirror and I see a gray hair, and I get a little freaked out, and then I go, man, you've totally deserved that, A new wrinkle, stretch mark, it's all okay. Sort of the battle wounds. So we do. We have 12 kids. My oldest is 29. And then we have 27, 26, 23, 17,
Holy moly.
2 7-year-olds, 2 5-year-olds, a 2-year-old, and a 20-month-old.
I told you, she's my hero. And a what?
A 20-month-old who I consider mine, but he doesn't live with me anymore, and then one on the way. So we're anxiously awaiting our phone call, letting us know who number 12 will be. So that's how you get 12 kids. But honestly, it's through birth, adoption, and fostering.
Wow.
And I have the stretch marks to prove it.
Your mouth is like hitting the floor.
I know. What are we doing hosting the show? She should be hosting the show.
You guys are so funny. I had a great time listening. I just had a couple of things to refer back to when you were talking, if that's okay. Can I do that?
Yes, of course.
I love the points that you were making. I loved all of it. I loved getting yelled at by the teachers. Isn't that an amazing moment in your life? You're like, oh, my gosh. And then we send our kids there. So that's all I have to say about that. And then when Rick was saying, you have free choice and, how you react to situations is really dependent upon you, and take responsibility for that. And I'd heard a saying once, and I can't give credit to who said it because I don't remember who it was, but it stuck with me. And this person said that each of us are exactly where we deserve to be because of the choices that we've made. And at first I thought, wow, that's harsh, geez, thanks a lot.
Put me in my place.
I'm going to go curl up in my fetal position now and suck my thumb because I'm so sad.
There's no room for you to be in a fetal position. All the fetal positions are taken in your house.
How do you know? I can get in the fetal position quite nicely, thank you. But that does make sense, and at first I didn't want to think that. At first I blamed a lot of other things and people. But you know what? When you take responsibility for your actions with the things that you can control, which is yourself, you do start thinking, I'm in this position because of that decision. I'm here because of that decision. And so I don't know, that just resonated with me, and I've sort of carried that around over the years. And then I want to talk about blame a little bit. I think blaming is a really important part of bouncing.
Me too.
I hope that's okay to say.
No, because we all, at some points, it's easy, and I think it's part of the process, too. When you're going through something troubling, it's easy in the beginning to blame because you're hurting so much.
Yeah.
You can't just take on that, responsibility for your own actions. It's like, excuse me, I'm still in the you are the idiot jerk phase, or you're unfair, or you're not doing these things. And I think it's part of the program.
I agree.
I think it helps to heal because there is some, you can't take responsibility for everything.
True.
And you can't take responsibility for everything all at once either.
Yeah.
It's a process. So, Danee, what do you think about blame?
I think it's a really important part of the process. I'm a really good blamer. No. I think in the beginning... I have an MBA in blaming. When I think back on really difficult times in my life and how I managed to, pull... It's not like I didn't bounce, okay? I, dragged myself through. I think about it was important in the beginning because you're right. You have nowhere else to go with those feelings. And, I think being really sad is important. I think, feeling miserable is important. I feel like, locking yourself in your bedroom and sleeping is important. Eating potato chips is important. And I think blaming people, blaming people is important initially. Now, what's key there is, it's okay to do that, but you do need to move on from there. You need to feel all those feelings. In my personal opinion, what works for me is I feel all those feelings. I make myself dredge it all up, and I feel miserable, and then I can start climbing out of my deep ravine of self-loathing. That's sort of, my modus operandi.
Well, and when we come back from the break, we're going to go to break shortly. We're here with Danee Kiernan. Danee, I want to talk to you about some of the things that you have recovered from, some of the things that you have bounced back from. I mean, outside of the 14 children, and you think of all the things that go along. 12. Sorry, where am I getting 14? Oh, because tables for 14.
Yeah, that includes my husband and I. Yeah.
Well, that's true, and you guys are not done yet. So
technically, it could be 14, right?
It's the premonition show.
Yeah.
14 guys.
Your future.
14. And there are 14 people in your household or in your family. But all right, so I have just butchered the segment. So I'm going to bounce out, take us to commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk to Danee Kiernan, and we're going to talk about blame and recovery. And here are some of the things that she has gone through to inspire us.
Mom, here's your show, Motherhood Talk Radio, giving you interesting, inspiring, and influential information as you navigate everything from childcare to corporate formation. This is Motherhood Talk Radio, and we'll be right back after these. Have you been laid off, fired, downsized, right-sized, or re-engineered out of a job? Are you unemployed or anticipate that possibility? Then tune in for Successfully Unemployed, hosted by Alan Sherwood, MBA, president of Sherwood Consulting Service. Successfully Unemployed will provide you a hope-filled and comprehensive approach to the job search process from an author who's experienced it all. Alan and his guests will cover all dimensions of a job search: physical tasks, mental attitude, emotional health, even one's spiritual perspective. All must be integrated in order for a person to be successfully unemployed so they can then be successfully employed. This show is designed to help you move forward from job loss to finding or creating more fulfilling work. For more on Alan Sherwood, MBA, and the show, check out his website, successfullyunemployed.com. Then join us for Successfully Unemployed with Alan Sherwood, MBA. Thursday nights at 8, 7 Central here on TogiNet.com.
The American Rock and Roll Countdown with Alex Price.
Now, this Saturday morning, we're going to count them down one more time from number 40 all the way to number 1 with the official Classic Hits Countdown, the American Rock and Roll Countdown. We'll count down the biggest hits of the 70s with interviews and artist information, news, weather, sports, you name it, we'll have it this Saturday morning, 9 o'clock Eastern, right here on TogiNet for the American Rock and Roll Countdown.
The American Rock and Roll Countdown on TogiNet.
Welcome back to Motherhood Talk Radio, the most powerful voice in women's issues. For more information, check out the website, motherhoodtalkradio.com. Now, let's get back to the show with your hosts, Sandra Beck and Christy Holly.
Hey, mamas, this is Sandra Beck, and I am the host of Bitter Blaming Chip Eating Talk Radio. And I'm here with my co-host, Christy Holly. And we have as our guest today Danee Kiernan. And if you missed the last 2 segments of today's show, you can check us out on iTunes. We have gone global in different countries. We also are available to listen to on our host station, which is TogiNet, TogiNet.com. And you can go to Motherhood Talk Radio and listen to the early part of our show where Rick, stupid diet guy, got very cerebral. He did a good job, didn't you think?
Yes, he did. He had some good input.
He did. I mean, it's got to be hard for him. It's got to be hard for him to be on a motherhood show.
Yeah, you'd think.
Yeah, it's a good thing he oozes testosterone, so he can keep up with us.
It's a nice
balance. I don't know what he's oozing, but I think it's testosterone.
I do not know.
I do not know. So we're going to turn the mic over to you, Danee, because you have had some challenges in your life raising your children, the dozen eggs. We'll call them. The dozen eggs. How do you do it? How do you do it?
Well, first of all, I think if 12 people would have arrived all at once, it would have been a little daunting. So, life is good. They sort of ooze in, at different times. So I actually started out as a teen mom. And had 5 children by the time I was 30. So I gave birth to those children, a girl and 4 boys, and kind of...
That's kind of like team 1.
Yeah, right. Hey, I kind of grew up with them. But, something I loved. I really enjoyed my kids, really enjoyed being a mom, was able to do that and just savor the moments, and had my 5 kids. Everything was great, had gotten through school, had a great job, and then got divorced. So then it was a table for 6, just my kids and I. And
5 kids and you
and me. Yeah,
and that's a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot, and it was really scary. And I can remember thinking, okay, I just have to really be a grown-up about this, and I need to figure out, what the hell am I going to do? So, my ex-husband took, his income, which was half of our household income, took half of our stuff, took the kids 4 days a month.
A month?
A month, yeah, 2 weekends, yeah.
Wow.
And, my kids were, I think, I hope I don't get the numbers wrong, but they were between 4 and 15. So we had, some teenagers there. It was difficult. It was really difficult. And how when you work things out on paper, budget-wise, how, sometimes it works out on paper, but it doesn't work out, in real life. Mine wouldn't even work out on paper. I'd be like, oh my God, what am I going to do? But it was really important to stay in the house. For me, that was really important. Take care of the kids, stay in the house. That was sort of my mantra. But the rest of me was really sad and pretty, depressed and nervous and all of those things. And so, basically, it was a process. It was a process of trying to get through that, trying to figure out which way to go, trying to be strong. And I realized that I had to sort of take care of myself first. And, I think it's sort of something that everyone says nowadays, but you do. That's just the bottom line. And I remember one year my New Year's resolution was just to make sure I got more than 6 hours of sleep at night, that was my goal. Just make sure you sleep more than 6 hours at night. Because I was working full-time as a director in a marketing firm, but I was also in the middle of an MBA program. So I would be in the middle of the night, like eating potato chips and drinking soda. And my coffee maker was programmed to go off at like 4 a.m. so I could drink coffee. And, doing things like statistics. Hello, like... Oh
right, I can't do those sober and
right, exactly. I felt like such a loser. But the bottom line is I made it through, and eventually, we were able to keep up on our bills, and we were able to survive and then thrive, and so that's all part of bouncing back. But that was probably my first experience in tapping into my own inner strength, and then unfortunately I had the opportunity to have more terrible experiences to practice.
Well, you are an overachiever.
Exactly. I'm an overachiever, and so that happened, and it's okay. And now I look back on it, and I realize, it was really the journey. That particular event, getting divorced, living on your own, trying to make ends meet, trying to raise your kids, trying to balance everything, and then also not show any anger towards your ex, because that's unhealthy for everybody.
And that's going to mess the kids up.
It's a difficult balance. Yeah, tough.
Yes.
So, my coping strategy is to eat like chips, and so I did that and managed to gain weight. But,
well, and then can I just say, and then you met Jim. I have to tell you, Jim is my college friend. That's how I was able to meet Danee.
Yeah.
And I remember Jim just falling head over heels with you.
And joke was on him. No.
Because here comes
he
Jim
was so
and his
cute.
instant family of 5.
Just so cute, so innocent, never married, never had kids. Really knew all about parenting from that perspective. So, I remember when my ex-husband left, he said, you know what? Nobody's going to want you. You're middle-aged and you have 5 kids. Nobody's going to want you. And I said, that's fine. I'm happy on my own.
I heard
which
that
I was
too.
terrified
Nobody's
of.
Want you.
But, yep.
It's part of the idiot ex-husband exit strategy. As they go out, they have to strip you of all your dignity. I remember
because that's really going to win you back,
Right. That I was fat, I was ugly, I was stupid, and nobody was going to want me. Tell me that in my own driveway.
It was in my driveway too.
Yeah, baby, tell me more.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there a book, a handbook?
I want you so badly.
There's like the loser cheater handbook, and they all read from it. I love it.
Oh, tell me more.
I told you it was bitter Motherhood Talk Radio.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. So anyway, so Jim comes along. He's just so cute. He's so nice. We go out to lunch and stuff. And I can remember one day sitting in the park, and I said, do you think you'd be interested in me if I wasn't, me? This package deal, with the 5 kids. And he was so cute. Now, you have to picture this. It's one of my memorable moments. He had his sunglasses on, and he took his sunglasses down just a little bit and looked at me over them and said, you know what? I forget how old I was. You are 35, and you do have 5 kids, and I'm very interested in you. And I was like, hot damn. Okay. So I didn't let him go.
Well, and I knew he had fallen in love with you, Danee. You want to know how?
How?
Because he used to sing these, sad, morose, depressed, Bruce Springsteen-esque ballads when we were in college. And then I was up in Wisconsin. I think it was Milwaukee. Was he living in Milwaukee?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with Jeff Dahl. I think I went up to see them and hang out with them. And he was strumming away, strum, look at me, happy guy. And I'm like, what the hell happened to him? Is he drunk?
Exactly.
And they're like, no.
What's happened to Jim? That was a big question. What's going on?
What's happened to Jim? And what happened to Jim was he was in love.
Yeah, isn't that sweet? That is so sweet. So he's a remarkable guy. He walked into this situation. He didn't run away, which was, important. He moved in,
that's not gonna work.
This probably breaks a lot of, I don't know, morals. But here's the deal. I had these 5 kids, and I'm like, how do you just how do you marry someone and then bring them into this, quagmire of estrogen and testosterone. Like, how do you do that to some person and just blindside them that way? So,
and somebody you love, because usually when I care about someone, I'm like, I'm afraid to bring them into my mess.
No kidding.
You want to protect them from that and go, please, if you love me, go away, because it'll hurt me too much to get run over by my life.
I'm too happy with you to let you in.
Yes, exactly. I love you too much to let you in. Thank you.
Run away as fast as you can. But he came in and he did a great job with the kids. It was bumpy, so that was another huge adjustment. I mean, it's bumpy. It's tough to bring, a male figure into your life when your kids have a dad already, and 4 of those kids are boys, and you've got a daughter who wants her dad, and so that was a little slippery slope there, but he still proposed anyway. And so I latched onto that ASAP, and we got married.
Are you the husband stat?
He's a nice package as well. So, bring him in.
Yes, he's very cute. I'll testify that he's very cute. We called him Wheels in college because he ran so fast, and he was such a good soccer player, and he's smart, and he's funny, and he's handsome. I mean, you won the jackpot.
And it's the size. So, anyway, so, he came in. He's a great stepdad. I had a lot of trouble with that word at first, but he's a great stepdad to the kids. And then we decided that we would have more children because, the kids were a little bit older, and he wanted the chance, to experience that as well. And so then, we moved on and tried having babies together. And that didn't work so well.
Not to laugh at you, but that didn't work.
It's okay. We learned more about our sperm and eggs than anybody ever would want to know, and ovaries and, lupron and infertility and, oh my God. So $28,000 later, and 3 IVF cycles later, we didn't have any more kids. And I felt so stupid one morning. I'm up, I'm drinking coffee, I'm a little perturbed by recent events, and I thought, God, the goal is not like to get pregnant. The goal is just to have more kids. And so we did.
And so you did. And how many? So you had 5, which means at the current count of 12, you adopted 7.
Except we adopted 5. We did international adoption and adopted our twin sons from Russia. And 2 years later, adopted our girls from Guatemala.
That's why you have 2 sets of twins.
Correct. Multiples, they're called. And then we became foster parents. We decided we would try to adopt someone here, closer to home. And we were fortunate to be foster parents to 2 wonderful children, one of whom we were in the process of adopting or thinking we were adopting, and that ended up not happening, and that little boy lives elsewhere. That's one of my painful events. And then one little boy, Tori, that lives with us now and is our son.
Danee, you're just amazing. I'm going to take us to commercial break. What an inspiration to motherhood. What an inspiration to women about bouncing back with style. You can check her out on our website and see her picture. She's pretty, and she's fun, and she's interesting. So we come back from the break. I'm going to embarrass her a little bit more.
Oh, my goodness.
And her book is Bouncing with Style, Starting Over, Not From Scratch. Our guest today is Danee Kiernan. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk a little bit about her most recent bounce back, and it's going to be good.
Mom, here's your show, Motherhood Talk Radio, giving you interesting, inspiring, and influential information as you navigate everything from childcare to corporate formation. This is Motherhood Talk Radio, and we'll be right back after these.
Hello everybody, this is Pete Dix, asking if you'll join me on Beatles and Beyond on this radio station. What a show I've got in store for you. Not only all the Apple reissues that I'll be looking at, some very rare tracks indeed, a report on my evening watching and listening to Neil Innes of the Ruttles and the Bonzo Dog Doodah Band. So please join me, Pete Dix, with Beatles and Beyond on this radio station.
Come be a part of Pat Sloan's Creative Talk Radio. Her goal is to inspire you to be creative every day. Pat Sloan's Creative Talk Radio, Monday afternoons at 4, 3 Central on TogiNet.com. Pat lives and breathes being creative through her quilt design business, but her creativity and interests have no bounds. On her show, she'll be introducing us to guests through interviews and talks that have a creative life. We'll learn more about what goes on in the world of quilting. And since Pat, like many of us, is creative in many ways, she'll also introduce us to creative people in other crafts like knitting, crochet, paper arts, and lots more. Pat is also an author, a lecturer, designer, and cheerleader of many. She's tried her hand at making almost everything you can think of and does many crafts to keep her inspired to create. Check out her website, patsloan.com. What makes Pat most happy is to inspire others to be creative every day. So join us for Pat Sloan's Creative Talk Radio, Monday afternoons at 4, 3 Central on TogiNet.com. Welcome back to Motherhood Talk Radio, the most powerful voice in women's issues. For more information, check out the website, motherhoodtalkradio.com. Now, let's get back to the show with your hosts, Sandra Beck and Christy Holly.
Hey, mamas, this is Sandra Beck, and I'm here with Christy Holly and Rick Swanson, but I don't think I'm going to let them on the air because you guys are being really immature.
So rude.
Yes, there's like pretending to like do illegal substance abuse.
Not
in
me.
Here.
I didn't do that.
You were laughing. You encouraged him.
No, I didn't. I want to hear more what Miss Danee has to say.
I do too. I do. She's really interesting, isn't she?
I know. I want to know what kind of house do you have to have all these kids living in your house? I mean, not the average person has like a 10-bedroom house. So I just wanted to know how that all works.
Well, for instance, today at dinner, my feet were sticking to the kitchen floor as I walked through. I did step on a few Legos. I pushed the laundry off the basement stairs as I walked past it. So it's kind of a messy house. It's actually just a 4-bedroom house. I think everybody has to share rooms here, now that I think about it. And, it's kind of cramped. But, honestly, with all the kids, so, we get to the number 12. I mean, we have one that hasn't arrived yet. Number 11 is living in another state. That's the baby that we lost. And then so that leaves 10. And of those 10, 1, 2, 3, 4... I'm sorry, I want to make sure I get the number right. Katie, Ryan, Tyler, Trevor. 4 live on their own. So my daughter lives in England. My son lives in New York City. I have one son that lives here in the area and another son that lives in the area. So at home, currently, we have our 17-year-old, our 7-year-olds, our 5-year-olds, and 1 2-year-old. So that's only 1, 2, 3. That's only 6. And a dog, who really counts as 2 kids, honestly.
Yikes.
And so, I think
they need team jerseys. I'm sorry, I'm just going to interject here. We need names on the back. We need everybody to have their birth order and their adoption order, and it's just like Team Kiernan, and they can all come in with their like blue shirts.
It's pretty amazing, you guys. It really is. My son just recently got married 2 weeks ago, and everybody was home. So, literally the table for 14 thing was there because we had, now the older kids have, their partners, and my son has his wife, and so. The family's just growing, but it is a riot. And, you've got these older kids and, they've grown up. We live in kind of a suburb of Milwaukee and, their world has been, this area, this neighborhood, their school. And, our other children have come from very different places. And so they are experiencing the world, really, through our younger children. So, we've had experiences being in Russia twice. We have experiences being in Guatemala twice. We have experiences through the foster care system, and I think it's definitely eye-opening and definitely a learning experience for the older kids as well. And the older kids, whine and complain about the younger kids sometimes. They ask me, isn't there anything else you'd rather do with your life than keep having children? And there isn't. So, but they're learning that, and they
well, and I guess that's got to make you kind of popular because I can't imagine in the suburbs of Milwaukee, which is in Wisconsin, which is pretty rural, there's not a lot of Guatemalan and Russian twin sets running around, or families, blended families from just every possible child acquiring scenario.
We do have different colors in our family, and we talk about that openly. We talk about adoption openly. We talk about, our Guatemala moms and Russian moms. You have to. I mean, I don't think it's possible to just pretend that we're all the same, because eventually secret's going to get out.
And we're going to look in the mirror and go,
yeah, exactly. And that's really kind of funny when that first happens. In fact, my daughter just said to me, she's 5, she said to me, she has this beautiful, she's Guatemalan, she has this gorgeous skin color, and we have a pool in the backyard, so we've been swimming lately, and so her skin is darkened up even more. It's just this gorgeous, like we would all pay lots of money, to tan that way.
Yes.
And I put my arm next to her, and I'm like, oh, honey, look at, my skin's almost as pretty as yours now, and she said, Mom, as soon as your skin gets a little bit darker, then you can be my mom. I was like, oh, okay, well, I think I'm your mom now, but I get what you're saying, So then we started talking about her Guatemala mom, and so it's little things like that come up that you talk about, and just being honest with the kids, which makes it, pretty active, pretty fun, pretty exciting journey to be on. And, quite honestly, a journey that I never thought I would be on. But here I am. So really treasuring every moment. And I think that's sort of the message that Bounce has with people. Really, there have been some tough times, and we can cover those another time. But, even during those really difficult, challenging moments, it's important to realize this is your life. Like, this is your life, and the only life you have, and enjoying every moment along the way, even the sucky ones, you just have to know that you're experiencing it. I'm serious. You're experiencing it. You got to deal with it. It's a piece of who you are. It's where you end up. And really, this is similar to what Rick was saying earlier. You can only control your actions. So when I went to court and this judge determined that, DJ needed to go live with a biological relative, and my heart dropped and my world crumbled. All that got us through that event was saying, what, we can only control what we can control. We can only be the best we can be. We can only do everything that we can do for this child and for our family and for ourselves to get through this. We cannot control the actions of others. And that's kind of humbling, and it's kind of aggravating at times, but it really does help in the bounce process. It really helps you to move through, to really, because I'm kind of a control freak, things are out of control here. So, that's part of my nature, to be like, okay, let me just grab anything I can, kind of control.
Well, I think it's a lesson we all have to learn, Danee, because in times of difficulty, I used to have this posted on my wall. I had it up there for probably a year and a half or something, and I don't even know where it is now, but it said, you can't control the situation. You can only control how you respond to it.
Yeah, isn't that true?
Because, the courts are deciding my own biological children. My ex is doing whatever he wants, and, illness is running rampant with my mom, and there were so many, and then, finances crumbling around my ears. There were so many things I couldn't control. And it was like, the God coming in and going, boo, 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 like, do you get it now? Do you get it now? You can't control everything, and that you have to get in control of yourself and how you respond. And that was a really hard lesson for me to learn. I struggled with that a lot.
I mean, it's difficult, but the bottom line is, if you can do that and you realize that there are certain things within your control that you should be working on, okay? So instead of trying to control ourselves and our actions, sometimes we're trying to control everybody else. And really, when you look within and you start working on yourself, that's when things start to fall into place a little bit better, in my opinion. So I just have a quick saying that is hanging up on my wall, and it, I don't know who said it. I feel bad saying all these things. I don't know who they say. I just write down the words and hang them up and live with them. But it says, there are no guarantees. So with fear, none are strong enough, and with love, none are necessary.
Great.
And I thought,
do that again. I'm confused. I was stuck on the fear part. I got afraid.
There are no guarantees in life, right?
There's no guarantees in life.
With fear, there are no guarantees that would be strong enough. If you're really afraid of something, there's no guarantee that's going to be strong enough to let you move forward. And with love, no guarantees are necessary.
Oh.
Does that make sense?
No. I'm still struggling. Sorry.
We'll work on that another day.
Oh, no. No, it's just those type of things. I think, I'm a visual person to a point and an audio person to a point. I think I have to look at it and post it for 7 months.
I'll send it to you via email. It'll make sense.
Okay, good. Yes, please. What about you, Christy? What are some of the things that you like? Do you have a phrase or something you tell yourself? For me, I'm always I can't control the situation, but I can control how I respond to it. Do you have any little tidbits, other than don't ask me these questions?
Don't ask me these questions. This is secret.
Secret. This is in my perfect household. Why would you have any? Of course not. Danny, I got to tell you, Christy and I have this running thing because, my life completely implodes, and I'm, trying to scrape myself up from the ground. And, Christy's like, oh, my wedding was perfect. There were fairy lights. And I just got pregnant over and over. I didn't have that fertility treatment.
I just popped out children left and right.
I know, and I married a fireman. Yeah, I love you.
And I love being pregnant. I was just beautiful while I was pregnant. It was the most natural experience in my life.
That was the thing, and I'm looking at her now. She's beautiful, fun, and funny, and I'm like, oh, I'm so glad you're my friend so I can look up to you and aspire to be you. And pick on you when you're not here. That's what I'm here
and cheer when things go bad, yeah.
Yes. Well, there was something recently on a show where she's like, well, I had trouble with this, and I was like, good!
It's about time.
You did.
I love this wonderful support I get. Yes. So great.
It's a girlfriend thing.
On Stab You in the Back Network.
Stab You in the Back by bitter, angry women. No.
Yes. Yes, please. Yes, please. But I think, one of the things, too, we've only got a couple minutes to the end of the show, but I want to note that one thing, Danny, that I always have loved about you for many years, and Christy, since you have been my friend, my only really friend in Acton, girl-wise, learning to laugh about the stupid things we do or the dumb things that happen to us or the mistakes we make or the crappy things that happen to us beyond our control really is a big part of healing ourselves with other women. I agree with you. Agreed. Because Danny, over the, we've talked, about stuff and we've gone through a lot of different things, kind of parallel but different.
Correct.
And you find the humor in it. I find the humor in it. Christy, you find the humor in it. We take the sting out of it and we recognize as women, we all have to bounce. We have to rebound. I mean, men too, but they don't listen to the show. So unless they like Rick, then they'll listen to the show. But we heal each other that way by sharing and by laughing and crying together, and that's kind of what we've done. Christy, I've done it with you. Danny, I've done it with you. And having that support, to me, that's support. That is support. I agree with you.
I would agree.
Yeah. So let's see. Got 1 minute to break. Danny, you got 30 seconds to give us your best advice. Go ahead.
Lord.
Go for it, baby.
Oh, best advice. Honestly, two things. I think everyone needs to have the strength to do what's right for them. That could be an unpopular choice. That could be just something you've been waiting to do for a long time, but have the strength to do what's right for you and go forward.
Oh, my God, and you even got it in under 15 seconds. My name is Sandra Beck. I'm the host of Motherhood Talk Radio, along with Christy Holly and Rick Swanson. Check us out at motherhoodtalkradio.com. Pick us up on iTunes. You can listen to us on our host station, toginet.com. You guys will be without me for 2 weeks because I'm going on vacation. Uh-oh. And I'm going to listen to the show, and I'm going to call in.
Thank you for being a part of Motherhood Talk Radio with Sandra Beck and Christy Holly on toginet.com. Join us every Tuesday